So, you're in the market for a new processor, and you've got your eye on Intel's 13th generation chips. You've heard all about the new Raptor Lake architecture and how great it is. But what if I told you that a whole bunch of those shiny new 13th gen CPUs aren't actually new at all? Yeah, let's get into it, because there's a huge secret hiding in plain sight that could completely change which chip you decide to buy. So let's just cut right to the chase. Here's the big question we're digging into. When you pick up a 13th gen Intel CPU, are you really getting the latest and greatest tech? Or are some of these chips just cleverly disguised processors from the 12th generation? The answer? Well, it's not what you'd expect.
And here it is, the big secret. A really significant number of Intel's 13th gen CPUs, especially the ones most people buy in the mid-range and entry level, are not based on the new Raptor Lake design. Nope, they're actually built using the older 12th gen Alder Lake silicon. So, how in the world does that even happen, and why?
To really get what Intel's doing here, we've got to pull back the curtain a little bit and look at how a whole generation of CPUs actually gets made. You see, it's not like they design a totally unique chip for every single model. The real process is way smarter, way more efficient, and it all comes down to one core idea. And that idea is the CPU die. Just think of it like a master blueprint made of silicon. A company like Intel will spend a fortune designing just a couple of these master blueprints for an entire generation. Then, to make all the different CPUs, the i9s, i7s, i5s, they just take that same master die and basically turn certain features on or off, like how many cores are active.
Okay, so look at the 12th generation. It's the perfect example. For their entire Alder Lake lineup, Intel only made 2 different dies. They had this big, powerful CO die with tons of cores, and that became the high-end i9s and i7s. Then for the cheaper i5s and i3s, they used a smaller, simpler HO die. With just those 2 blueprints, they built the whole product stack. It's a really clever, cost-effective system.
All right, so now you know the blueprint strategy. Let's apply that to the 13th generation, because this is where we get to the big reveal. And this is where it gets super interesting, because Intel decided to switch things up a bit this time around.
So for the 13th gen, Intel only designed and released one single brand new die. It's called the Raptor Lake B0. This is the real 13th gen chip packed with all their latest tech. And this new die, it powers all their top-of-the-line CPUs. But what about everything else? And boom, here's where the secret comes out. If you look at the lineup, the i9s, the i7s, and the high-end unlocked i5s, they're all using that new Raptor Lake die. But the rest of the family, the locked i5s and the entire i3 series, they are literally using the exact same C0 and H0 dies from the 12th generation. They've just been renamed. Now this is where it can get super confusing if you're a buyer. Just look at the i5 13600K versus the regular i5 13600. On paper, they look almost the same, but under the hood they are completely different animals. The K version is a true new Raptor Lake chip. The regular one, it's a repurposed Alder Lake chip. This is exactly how you could end up buying last year's tech without ever knowing it. So, this obviously brings up a huge question. Why? Why would a company do this? Why not just make everything new? Well, the answer, as you can probably guess, boils down to some pretty simple and pretty effective business logic. I mean, let's just ask it directly. Why would a tech giant like Intel bother reusing old parts for a brand new lineup? It's not about being lazy, it's about being incredibly practical. Designing a new chip from scratch costs an absolute fortune. We're talking billions of dollars. So if they already have a perfectly good chip design, why not use it again? And what makes this strategy so tempting is how ridiculously easy it is to pull off. See, 12th and 13th gen chips actually plug into the same exact socket on a motherboard, so all Intel has to do is grab an old Alder Lake die, flash it with some new firmware, slap a new name on it, stick it in a 13th gen box, and boom, you've got a new product ready to sell. It saves them a massive amount of time and money. Okay, so now we know what's happening and why. It's time for the most important part for you, the person spending the money. Is this a bad deal? Should you feel ripped off? Or could some of these rebranded chips actually be a hidden gem? Well, it's not a simple yes or no. One of the sources we looked at, High Yield, put it perfectly. The important question isn't just that they're doing it, it's how they're doing it. Is Intel just trying to pull a fast one on us, or are there actually some real benefits to be had here? It really all comes down to the nitty-gritty of what you're getting for your cash. So let's check out a good deal scenario. The new i5 13400. Yes, it's technically a rebranded Alder Lake chip,
But its predecessor from last year, the i5-12400, only had 6 performance cores. That's it. For the 13400, Intel used a better version of that old die, giving you the same 6 performance cores plus 4 of their efficiency cores. So you're actually getting a much more capable chip than what was available at that price last year. That's a win.
But then you have the bad rap scenario. Check out the i3-13100. It is almost a literal carbon copy of the old i3-12100. It uses the same die, has the same 4 performance cores, and still has 0 efficiency cores. The only, and I mean only, real difference is a tiny little 100 MHz speed bump. In this case, you are literally just buying the exact same CPU with a new number on the box.
So, what does this all boil down to? It means you have to be a smart shopper. Here are the key things to remember. First, not every 13th gen chip is actually new. Second, some of those rebranded i5s are actually a pretty good upgrade because you're getting more cores. Third, the new i3 is basically the old i3, and that means the final value all comes down to price. Most importantly, always check the actual architecture. Don't just trust the product name.
Look, the point here isn't to say Intel is good or bad. It's to give you the information you need to see past all the marketing. Because now that you know the secret of the 13th generation, you're not just some random buyer anymore. You're an insider. You can spot the difference between a simple rebrand and a real upgrade, and you can find the absolute best deal for you.